All right, it's time.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're 2022. We've got the first episode of the season, episode 83, Stuck on Decals.
Yeah, we've got a great show tonight. Decals is one of those overlooked things that sounds easy on, but it can actually be a little challenging. So we got some good tips and tricks for you guys tonight to kind of go over the best practices on how to apply decals.
Yes. And of course, with it being a new year, everybody is a new year, new me, right? Well, Hunter and I are the same guys. But in terms of new year, new show, we've got a couple cool things we're going to introduce. We're going to be a little more set, concise, things like that. We've got a couple new cool segments, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah, so we're going to show you guys, even the little small details about which kind of tape to use, right?
Yes.
Like Scotch tape opposed to masking tape. We're going to go over that. We're going to talk about, how to, put finish over top of your decals when it's actually applied to your blank.
Yep.
And then, kind of a few things, how to line these up. And also we're going to go over all the options of decals because we don't just have spec decals, right? We have text decals, graphic decals, the decals that come with your rod blank. If you got a MHX X-Fighter blank, it's going to come with a nice logo decal that you can use. So we'll go over a couple of those as well.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about the prizes. We've got a custom decal and a thread tool combo pack.
Yep.
That's going to be one we're going to give away. Another giveaway, we're going to do a custom rod skin and CRB epoxy mixing system. That's cool because, it's one of those deals that you got to have, right?
Yep.
Also, little grand prize action. It's going to be a CRB Color Series rod kit. And yeah, so it's going to be great. I think there's one or two more things in that grand prize kit. Jay, if you could get that back up there, that'd be awesome. So what do you want to start with, do you think? You want to start with some new stuff? Because we do have a few new things.
It is a new year. We got some new products. One of those being, the new CRB LZR angled guides.
Yes.
Right. So those are going to be the LZR family. We got them in the standard, black, polished, and gunsmoke frame colors. And a couple different frame styles. We got spinning, casting with the running guide options.
Yes.
So great additions there to the LZR lineup. If you guys haven't checked those out just yet, definitely get on that. And then obviously with it being a new year, we also have the new catalog that's out, which most of you guys at home have probably already received in your mail. So lots of good stuff in there. We've implemented a couple new changes to the format of the catalog. A lot of cool shots, bench shots, how to incorporate some of these tools into your bench. So some great stuff there.
Yep. And of course,
I know we got a photo contest as well.
Yeah, we got a photo contest going on. So you guys remember the photo contest from last year. We pick a theme, we do some things like that. Go ahead and scroll up there so we can kind of look at what we got going on with the photo contest. So we have found art or found items. So we've got a deal where you can really just go through and something that maybe is not involved in a rod build. You put guides on it. You put a handle on it. You put thread on it. But maybe pick something in that is not normal, right? I think I did a fly rod one time, and I've seen some guys and girls out there do some rod building where they put like a coin in the fighting butt, where they do, a couple different things like that. So it's a really, really cool thing. We want to kind of bring in, something that's maybe like completely off the wall.
Yeah. Right.
So put a shark tooth in it or get a bottle cap or do, something crazy. So that's where the photo contest comes in. And so it's awesome.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, and then also moving on. So we got a new segment.
Yes.
I guess we should call it, right?
Yeah, and for those that follow us on social media, right? You might have seen we have a TikTok account. And Jake Hutcheson is the guy that runs that TikTok account. We also call him TikTok. Just, It's like a team around here, so we like to put it in there. So we have him on a segment where he kind of goes over what is all happening in rod building from this past month. Talking about social media, talking about a number of different things. So what we're going to do is we're going to send it down to the basement for the Mullet Minute with Jake Hutcheson.
Welcome to the Mullet Minute with Jake Hutcheson. I am Jake Hutcheson. Today, we bring you Stanton Custom Rods from up north with this beautiful ice rod he just built. He continues to defy southern rod builders every day, proving that you can in fact do decorative wraps on ice rods. He even put a tiger wrap into the handle. That's pretty crazy. Billy Vavona and the Nerbs crew came by Mudhole to host a class, and by the grace of God, they didn't get banned. Like the last time they went to ICRBE. Don't worry, Billy, you'll always be welcome at Mudhole. Lawrence Meekma just posted this beautiful rod in the Mudhole Rod Builders Workshop Facebook group. He used marbling, a decorative wrap, and thread inlays on the rod. Is that a scrunchie? Oh man, we'll send you a strip of felt insert so you can give your wife her scrunchie back. Mary McIntyre Christie of the Southern Rod Builders made this incredible Iron Man grip. I really don't know what's going on here, if it's cork or leather and she stitches it together. Either way, I believe Tony Stark would approve. Another and guider wrap. The colors on it are crazy, and the level of craftsmanship is ridiculous. I don't know how long this took, but it's too long for me. Another rod from the Mudhole Rod Builders Facebook group. Those guys are good. Damn, Dan, those are some of the best grips I've seen in a while. I wish I was fishing in Michigan, because I could put a hurting on a pigeon with a hook set from that bitchin' fishing rod. Would you look at that? This guy made a custom rod out of a stick and a pair of antlers.
Oh, yeah, boy! That man doesn't get more than you. We're chicken dinner.
Stuff's getting crazy over here. I don't know what this world's coming to, but he caught a fish, so obviously it works. What's that? What's that? Okay. Well, folks, we just got a tip that relentless sport fishing out of Louisiana is crushing the tuna. They said you could throw a dumbbell at a doorknob and still catch one on top water.
Oh my God! Look at that! Oh my God!
Phil, call Tom and tell me to take the Mudhole boat out for a content trip. And now, what you've all been waiting for, the Mudhole TikTok video of the month. Drum roll, please. And the winner is me pulling 3 pieces of tape off a rod. Okay. 300,000 views? All right, this is getting a little, the rod building world's getting a little stale. So with that, we're going to sign off. This has been the Mullet Minute with Jake Hutcheson. I am Jake Hutcheson. Catch you next time.
Well, at least we're getting used to the basement.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. So, Jake, that was fantastic. We loved it. And I think, to be honest with you, the one comment that sums up the Mullet Minute perfect is coming out of Phil. And that's it. Instant credibility just because of the mullet. So there it is, Philip. I appreciate that. And you're exactly right. So now let's go ahead and do a giveaway.
Let's do it.
And then we'll get into this. So Hunter, what you think, my man?
Yeah, so we're going to be giving away custom decal.
Yeah.
And a thread tool combo pack, which
Yep.
is going to come in super handy, as we're going to show here in just a few minutes. So,
Well, that's awesome. Now, do you remember how we're going to do this giveaway?
Sure. You tell me.
No, so just like before, we have where the guys need to like, comment, share this to their pages. That's how they get entered into the giveaway.
Right.
And of course, we've got a lot of comments coming in. Things are happening, and you're going to get entered as you join the show, as you share, as you like. So, of course, what we're going to have is we've got a tool now where we can pick somebody that's watching the show at random. It is pretty cool. And Jay, is that something that we run? Or are you going to run that? Perfect. So we're going to go to Jay, and Jay's going to give us the winner of this first giveaway. That's custom decal and a thread tool combo pack. All right.
Here we go. And the big winner is
Jacob Dayton.
Jacob Dayton. Congratulations.
I think the best part about this is that because it's completely random, we might get a name that we can pronounce.
Right. We got a shot.
We got a
This time,
shot this
yeah.
time. So very cool, Jacob. Good job. We love this. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into this.
Let's do it.
We're going to do a decal demo. So we're going to do a Scotch tape trick.
Okay.
All right. And we've got a couple different options.
Mhm.
So do you have one that you want to show with a Scotch tape? You want to do the X
Yeah, let me,
Fighter? You want to do what
Let's
you
do
got?
this. Let's grab a text decal. Let's do how about a blue?
All right.
That'll show off pretty well here on our blank, right?
There we go. Yeah.
So let's get a little close up on all these patterns and text fonts, because this is one of the cool things that we offer at Mudhole is it's not just you can obviously get a very standard text decal and a Times New Roman or one of those fonts, or we can spice it up a little bit. We have different metallic colors. We have red, blue. We have some a couple silver, a gold. You can get them in these really cool fonts that make the text that you're going to put on your rod stand out a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. and of course, these are designed by the guys here.
Yeah.
In Mudhole.
Exactly. So a lot of different options here. And of course, you can get 1-line, 2-line, and kind of, depending on the type of rod you have, you might, if you have a small diameter blank, maybe you go with just a 1-line. Or if you got a big saltwater blank, you can get by with 2 and make a little bit larger text, something like that. But anyway, so let's pick one out here. Let's go with, how about the South Bay rods?
Perfect.
Cool. So what we'll do is we'll kind of, I'll talk about a little bit about how, when you get your decal, how to kind of shape it and cut it. And then I'll toss it over to you and you can kind of dive into the tape and go from there.
That's perfect.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out and kind of give it to you in a form as you would receive it from us, which is probably going to look a little bit like this.
Okay.
You're going to have, a little bit of excess on top, bottom, and probably both sides, right? So one thing I like to do is with a, pair of scissors, and you can do this with an X-Acto knife or anything that has a sharp blade that's going to, do a good cut for you.
Yeah.
Is I like to kind of trim this up and get rid of all this excess on the sides.
Okay.
Because what that's going to do is when you go to apply this to your rod, the less material you have is going to be the less material that is going to have a chance of showing up or being apparent when you go to put this decal on your rod. So really all we're doing is just trimming each side and getting the excess off of each edge.
Cool.
And now you do not have to follow the outline of the text and do anything crazy.
You don't
like
have to
that.
die cut it with a pair of scissors.
Don't try
right?
to do that.
Yeah.
But all I'm doing is getting maybe an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch on each side of the text I have.
For sure.
So that's all of our extra pieces that I've cut off, and now we're left with a little more manageable piece, right?
Yeah,
so now you're not working with a 2-3 inch piece of decal. It's just condensed down to 1 to 1.5 inches.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that is pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy there. Now you can do this same thing with, you know, if you get one of our, hand me that X Spider one.
Okay.
So when you get one like this, obviously most of these they're not going to be die cut per se, but they will have a little bit less material around the edges as compared to like the custom text decals. So really with these, if you wanted to go in, I'm having a hard time getting this one peeled up, but you can certainly go in and trim this one if you want to as well. But with these graphic decals that usually come with the blanks, whether it be an X Fighter or a standard MHX or an Elite Pro, whatever it might be, most of these are actually cut to a pretty decent size, and you really don't have to do much work to them.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of tag in around
No,
them.
they don't. No.
You know?
So you can usually leave these just as they are. But with a custom text decal, usually I will go around the edges, cut it out a little bit, and then you're good to go with this.
Yeah.
So
fantastic.
So what do you got for our tape options?
So for tape options, I use the Scotch tape. This is the frosted Scotch tape. It does come in a clear option. I don't know the scientific, background behind what Scotch tape and how sticky it is, but to be honest with you, the frosted Scotch tape seems a lot less sticky. It seems easier to work with, a little more manageable. It just doesn't seem to be as aggressive because the Scotch tape doesn't need to be aggressive. We're not actually peeling the paint or print or pattern off of this decal. We're just using it to handle the decal and to kind of place it where we want to place it without having to put our greasy mitts all over this thing.
Right.
So what we're going to do is you will pull out a section of tape, and it can be as long as you want it. What I usually do is I pull it to almost twice the length of the decal, because what I want to have happen is I want to leave extra on either side of it, because I'm going to hold the tape like this. I'm going to use these little wings kind of as handles. All right.
Okay.
Now, something that I've also learned is if you have Scotch tape that is a little more aggressive, okay, and your blank, maybe you're worried it's got some dust on it or something, I will actually spin that blank to wherever we're going to use it. I'm going to place the Scotch tape on the blank, kind of lightly put it down, and I'm going to take it up. That will not only help pull the dust and everything off the blank, it's not going to leave any adhesive behind, because it's really, I haven't ever noticed it leaving any adhesive behind, honestly. But what it's going to do is it's going to knock down that initial full strength adhesive, if that's the right term. Then what we're going to do is we're going to then take it to the decal. So I'm just going to take the Scotch tape and go right to the decal. Something you do have to be careful of, though, is the Scotch tape will hold static. So you can see the Scotch tape wants to, it wants to static cling to you. And be careful, because it will want to suck that decal off the table. So when you go to stick it, you better make a conscious effort to just go right down and stick it. Because if you kind of hover and manipulate and worry about, oh God, I need to make sure it's straight, it doesn't need to be straight on the tape, because again, you're just using this to hold the decal. But go ahead, go down, and in a good motion, pick that decal up, and then I rub the top of it, right? And then we're going to pick it up. So here we go. We've got it here now. Okay. So now again, this decal is stuck here. Of course, that's reverse. This is what it looks like on the other side. Okay. So now remember, we've got a backing here. So I'm then just going to take another short length of tape. And what I do is I come onto the corner. So just a bottom corner of the decal. It doesn't matter which one. And I place just the edge of that second piece of tape, like this, on the corner. All right? So now I've stuck the back of the decal. And then I will take, and when I pull that apart, I'm pulling the backing off of the decal. Cool? And I'm just doing this slow so y'all can see at the house. And again, This thing is kind of static clingy, so be careful that it doesn't come around and get you. All right. Then what we're going to do is we'll use these handles out here, right? And I'm going to go right here to the blank. I'm going to stick it down on the blank. And if you have enough tape out here on the ends, once you stick it down, you can kind of, if you want to kind of earmark it, and that'll help you get the tape up. So you can see there, I've kind of earmarked that tape. And then what we'll do is you can use your burnishing tool, or you can use your thumb. Kind of start it. I work from because the decal is going to stick in the center first, I work my way out and around it, you know, front to back. And then I'm going to use the burnishing tool. You can use your finger. So again, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to keep fingerprints and all kinds of things off this decal. We're trying to keep the fingerprints off the rod blank that could have been stuck underneath the decal. You don't want to like hold the decal with your hand and then hold the blank. And then, you know, we're just trying to keep this decal, like the handling of the decal, to a minimum. Now what we're going to do is we've got the Scotch tape. We're going to pull it at a very sharp angle to be sure we don't lift the corners when we pull this back. Okay, comes right out there. And that is that. So there we've got South Bay rods on the blank.
Awesome.
And that's cool. I like the blue. I think it looks pretty neat. Maybe not, it shows up a heck of a lot better not on the camera than it does here. So, and then what we did there is we made sure, that, as Hunter did a very good job of, cutting the extra stuff around, because honestly, the more blank space around the decal you've got, it's just going to introduce extra problems in terms of the edges coming up, fingerprints on it. You possibly could show the edges of those decals more, things like that. So it's really not that tough. Don't go too fast. Just be aware of a few of those little warnings that I gave you, but it's good. And to be honest with you, if you don't have that Scotch tape, I wouldn't use duct tape, right?
No.
But if you have a fairly low adhesive masking tape or something, you can use it. Just keep in mind that you can't see through the masking tape.
Right.
So if you have a situation of you want to use, or you're stuck with masking tape, and you want to go fishing tomorrow, you got to finish this rod, or you got a client coming or something like that. If you have a decal that is like this X-Fighter, this X-Fighter decal is the same material on the front, but it's not printed the same. So the last decal we showed you is a decal that is a printed screen on the front, and it's completely clear all the way through, and that's why you have to use the tape method to stick the front, then the tape method to peel off the back.
Right.
Okay. What you can do with this is you don't have to worry so much about trying to put the tape on and do that, but you can still use the Scotch tape method. You'll peel it off, and I'm going to go kind of quick here. You'll peel it off. Again, sticking to me a little. You can put it down. And now you can actually, when you peel this apart, you'll have the backing as a handle. So you have that as an option, okay? So you can do that and place it down and stick it because you can see through it. Or what you can do is, if you really are in a bind, move this guy here, and you do have to use masking tape, but you can't see through it. Pull a little longer piece here. The little bit wider bit of masking tape works a little bit better, but you can actually wing it like this. Okay. So you can actually wing it like that. Use the masking tape to pull that decal apart and place it. Okay. Just like that. Just be very careful. Again, having a little bit wider masking tape than this. This is what, the half? Or is, yeah,
That's with the half.
this is the half. This is a 1/2 inch masking tape. If you've got some masking tape at the house that's maybe 1 inch, it gives you a little more leeway out here on the edges because my fingertips are not touching the back of this decal. I got a little close to that one over here on this side, but I'm still okay. And I'm not touching the front of the decal either because you want to keep your fingerprints off of it. But that is kind of a quick, oh no, I don't have Scotch tape, but I have masking tape.
Yeah.
Cool?
The goal is to avoid any fingerprints on the back of that decal.
Yep.
Because that will not only show up on your rod, but it'll actually, that's somewhat of how, you know, the lifting of the decals, that can be caused by that.
Absolutely.
You know, that little bit of, you know, whether it be the grease on your hands or whatever,
yep, is
going to repel and not allow that finish to set over top. It's going to actually lift up and
yep,
cause you problems. So
absolutely. I had a couple questions here.
Sure. Since
we can kind of play with the new toy. We're going to go to Anthony here. Anthony, how do I keep my decals from getting air bubbles? So Anthony, when I was showing the decal here, the clear 2-piece decal, when I went to apply that decal down, I only stuck the very center line of that decal first. So, you know, imagine with it being, if this is your decal, right? As it's coming down to the rod blank, and your rod blank is here, you just want to tack the center line, okay? So your decal's like this, and just the tiniest little piece of center line is stuck, all right? So your decal is sitting on the top of the blank like a cross section. So, and you can see it when that decal is clear, you can see the center just get darker and you'll see the line. It's perfect, it'll stick. It'll change color and that shows you that you're stuck to the blank. Then what you do is work out from the center both directions with a thread burnishing tool or, you know, your thumb, something like that. That will help you keep air bubbles under it. If you try to attack the rod blank and come down and stick it all in one stick, it's really not going to help. And I also really don't recommend, you know, coming at the rod blank with a decal that's angled like this and try to lay it down. I just don't think you get as straight of a decal.
Mm-hmm.
I think coming down straight over the top of it and just barely, and you can actually take the tape and, you know, because your Scotch tape is covering the whole top of the decal, when you grab the like the wings and you kind of pinch it, it will curl the edges and it will actually like curve the decal away from, like the corners away from itself just by the curvature of your thumb when you pull it kind of tight.
Mm-hmm. So
you pull it kind of tight and you set it down and it'll stick and tack in the center and then you just work it out like that.
Yeah.
So Anthony, there you go, bud. We'll do this one real quick and then we'll move on. Jason, what type of vinyl can you use? Would a cry-cut vinyl be possible? So Jason, the good thing about decals is you can kind of use whatever, but what you have to be careful of is that vinyl that you're using going to be able to withstand UV rays? I'm not familiar with exactly what type of vinyl that you're using because I know you can get a ton of different kinds. But if it's an outdoor rated UV treated vinyl that you're just going to, you know, cut with that machine, you should not have a problem at all. Since you have the machine at the house and you have the ability to cut a lot of decals, I might run a test because, you know, that finish might act a little funny if there's something going on with that vinyl. But honestly, like, you know, decals like our college decals or, hand me that rod skin. Sure. Or, you know, a carbon fiber rod skin. These types of decals here are printed and cut vinyl, just like the vinyl that you would stick, you know, a sticker on your car.
Right.
So this isn't like a rod building vinyl. but it is a very high grade UV outdoor vinyl. And of course, there's a bunch of different kinds of grades, but that really should be no problem. So there you go, Jason. Should be good to go there. All right, cool. What you got?
Let's talk about, we're going to talk about finish in just a second, but first let's talk about, I think this rod here, perfect. This does have a decal. So this is one of our, did you build this ice rod?
No, that's a Buzz.
Buzz Butters custom.
You
All
got
right.
it.
So what's cool about, I'm just going to move these ties over a little bit here. So, you know, one cool thing, especially in the ice fishing world, is when we're dealing with, you know, not a lot of blank diameter. It's really hard to put decals on, right? So one cool thing is you know, you can incorporate decals into your handles, you know, by means of your grips, right?
Yeah.
So one thing to note is, you know, especially if you're dealing with carbon fiber grip, you know, the texture on the outside of a carbon fiber grip is it's a little rough. You know, it's not a very smooth like a rod blank would be. It's
got
texture,
for
has
sure.
texture. So one thing you'll want to do is definitely apply a thin coat of epoxy or a thread finish, I guess I should say, to this grip before you actually apply a decal. So that will give you a smooth surface. And when I say thin, ultra thin. All you're doing is basically turning a textured surface into a smooth surface. And that's your goal there.
Yep.
So once you let that thread finish set up, whether you want to use Threadmaster, Pro Coat, etc., then you can go back in and treat this decal just as you would, you know, how to apply it to a rod blank. It's the same exact process. And then once that is done, then you can go over top and add another coat of epoxy. And then now you have a decal that's incorporated into your handle or your grips. So another cool option there.
Love it.
And obviously this does not only apply to ice fishing rods. This can be, you know, your saltwater rods, you know, whether you're doing a bass rod that has CFX grips, or, you know, even some guys will coat cork grips and you can incorporate decals there.
Yep.
The main thing to take away though is if you want to incorporate those decals onto your grips, you got to do a thin layer of epoxy first, then apply your decal, and then do another layer of epoxy, and you're good to go.
Exactly. And I'll show you real quick just because I have this here.
So it looks like you have a dragon scale with a thin coat of epoxy, so it still has a little bit of like a rib texture to the outside.
Yeah, this one has like a texture. Trying to stick it the best I can because otherwise you'll notice that it's not worth a darn. This one is completely and perfectly coated. All right, we've used these on the show before to show you kind of the difference. Now this decal that I just hand placed, you can see that decal is not only is picking up the pattern, but I don't know if you can quite see, but there's air bubbles inside of this thing. Okay. See if that helps you. See how it kind of, now it looks like it's picking up that texture. And that is not a texture, that vinyl texture will not get hidden by finish. Okay. And there's little tiny air pockets that are inside of those, because a dragon scale technically is like a little bit of a slanted diamond pattern. And those little boxes are kind of, you know, they hold just the tiniest little bit of air pockets. So to me, that's just a wasted decal. So that's something there that you guys can kind of see of why it wouldn't do it. And it's not sticking worth a darn. So any little edge of that finish, which, you know, let you talk about some hot finish, is going to get right under that decal.
And we've talked about hot finish, you know, multiple times on the show, but essentially, you know, when you go to apply finish over top of this decal, we don't want to mix our epoxy and take it straight to the decal and apply it. That is what we refer to as hot finish, when it is just mixed, you know, minutes ago.
Yeah.
We go straight there and try to apply it. Essentially, you know, obviously you can pick up on the hot reference. That epoxy is, the temperature of it is going to have adverse effects to this decal. It's going to cause, you know, the lifting of the edges, all the bad things that you guys might have encountered with a decal. that is one of the biggest things.
And honestly, that when that finish is hot, it also acts like a solvent. So, you know, to kind of retouch on, you know, somebody printing a decal at home, you do have to kind of be careful. And this goes in terms of testing decals, because if the vinyl is not a nicer, higher rated vinyl, or the ink that you're using is not at a level that can withstand the chemical reaction that happens in a finish, you can actually put the finish on there and watch the colors bleed out of that decal. Or if you're then come back in and then you add heat, some people add heat with a heat gun or a torch or something like that, you're gonna actually multiply that effect. And you know, we do a lot of testing in here, and we have a pile of stuff that we have screwed up on purpose, or in hopes that we would screw it up so we could find a solution for you all at the house. But you know, you watch that ink just lift and come right off that decal, and then of course it's ruined at that point. Yeah. So that's just something that's one of those deals where, you know, you need to kind of worry about that. Yeah. You know?
So, you know, and there's a couple of things you can do. You know, you can, for instance, if you have not put a finish on your guide wraps yet, mix up that thread finish, knock out a couple of your guides, come back to the decal, apply a thin layer. You know, you really don't want to go from just mixing your epoxy straight to the decal.
Yep. Let's hit that right there. Gustavo's got that exact question. So what's the wait time?
I would probably give it at least maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
either mix it, set it 10 minutes, go make you a drink, go let the dog out, do whatever you need to do. Or, like you said, come down the rod blank on a first coat or a first pass of all the guides.
Yep.
And then if you got enough left over to knock that decal out, come back and then do that decal. And then you don't really have to wait on anything.
Yep.
But,
exactly.
you know, so
yeah,
thanks,
at least
for
10, 15 minutes. Nothing crazy, you know. Don't wait too long to where your epoxy is about to set up, and, you know, definitely don't wait like 30 minutes or anything like that. But 10 is a pretty good number.
Tell me about color preserver. Ann's got a question.
So yeah, color preserver is used by a lot of guys. You know, color preserver is a very unique product, you know, because it has somewhat of adhesive properties, which can act very good for a decal. Personally, I don't like, not that I don't like to use color preserver with decals. I don't go the extra step to do it.
Yeah.
But it can be a very useful product to use if you really want to,
for sure,
kind of iron out all those little details that could kind of go wrong in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hunter mentions a couple of the little things which could be, you know, decal could not maybe withstand some of the effects of the epoxy, or if maybe you're using a decal that is not meant to, you know, have something put over it, you can do that. Or if you're a little worried about the edges lifting up and things like that, you can do that. But as a number of rod builders will comment, and I'm sure, you know, some people are in there, you've got to put very, very thin coats of color preserver on. And that does not matter if you use the Pro Seal or any of the other ones. When I'm using Pro Seal, I'm putting an ultra thin coat, let it dry. You can cheat a little bit with a hair dryer, but just be careful over that decal because you don't want to heat it. But, you know, you're going to wait 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and then put another ultra thin coat, but just make sure it's dry before you come back. If you put too much on at one time, you are going to get a kind of a milky shimmer over it. You can clean that off. So don't panic, but go very, very thin. So there you go, Miss Ann. Cool. All right. What we got? We got a giveaway.
Let's do it.
We're going to do custom rod skins that I showed up earlier. We got custom rod skins because you can put some text on those.
You can.
And we're also going to do a CRB epoxy mixing system.
Perfect.
I think a lot of people typically rave about that if they're in the process of cooking through a lot of different rods there. So, yeah. Jay, let's cue up the random name generator, huh? Perfect.
All right, and who is going to be the lucky person?
Beetle Passwaters.
Okay.
All right, coming out of YouTube.
Nice.
So see, that's the great thing about this is because we can incorporate everybody in the giveaway from both Facebook and YouTube all in there. So that's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah. So
I
you
like
got you got a epoxy mixer coming your way and a custom.
And we'll do some
rod
custom
skins.
rod skins
Yeah.
too. That's fantastic. This is a great question, real quick. David, when you epoxy a decal on, do you go all the way around the blank or just on the decal? We go all the way around the blank.
Yeah.
Okay. So what that does is that will give you a nice, clean line. It will keep everything, coordinated there because you go and cover all of the thread around all of the guides. If you tried to just sort of go over the decal and pull it and puddle it, it wouldn't look as clean, and it might have a tendency to like lift if it's on an edge and it's not quite finished off. So just while it's in your rod dryer, just lay that brush down there, let it spin, completely cover it all the way around, even if you don't have decals on both sides. But in all reality, if the rod blank is big enough, having, a spec decal on one side, a logo on the other, so that way you don't have a blank side. So if you put a fish on one side, you can always put your spec decal on the other if you got a logo or a name or something like that. So definitely use both sides of the rod blank or all around it or whatever. You don't have to just use one side of that rod blank. So David, thanks for the question, man. Cool. All right.
Ready to move on to the next segment.
Move it on.
All right. So we got another cool little special thing for you guys tonight. So this is going to be the Mud Hole Employees Rod Showcase.
Oh.
Cool little feature, right? So essentially the guys have gone around the building.
Yep.
And asked the question, what is your favorite build with a decal?
Absolutely. So because we've got, I don't know, we got a lot of employees and we have a ton of really good rod builders. So we can't get them all in here on the show, but we'll get them a way to kind of tell us a little about their story and maybe why they did the decal they did and show it off a little bit. So how about it?
Let's do it.
All right, Jay, let's run it.
This is the bat decal on the Halloween rod. I actually caught a bunch of trout on this rod right after we made it for the Halloween cover right here.
One of my favorite rods that we had built for our Boston striper trip is actually our Beetlejuice rod. We used a custom rod decal that you can have made at Mud Hole Custom Tackle and a sweet custom EVA grip. Check it out.
What I did is I put a bass on a flipping and pitching rod because everyone knows that if you have an image of the fish you're trying to catch on your rod, you get the best luck.
So this is one of my favorite custom rods that I built probably 5 or 6 years ago. Obviously has the UCF logo here, some great thread design, and then the school down there at the bottom for, the best college to me anyways.
One of my favorite applications of a decal, right on the back side of a guide over some abalone and trim bands.
I love the fish decals we have at Mud Hole because I can make an inlet rod like this, CRB 9-footer, and I can put a redfish, a tarpon, and a snook on it because that's what I fish for. And I have a million rods in the garage, so it's easy to just look at this one and know what it is, pick it up, and go fishing.
I had this decal made from Mud Hole, custom made for me. It says Plug Life, and it's a gag special because I use a lot of plugs for gags in Crystal River, Florida. And that way everybody knows that this is the Plug Life rod.
So if we learned one thing from there, Plug Life's got it going on.
Absolutely.
So there you go. There's your custom decal for sure. Before we move on, there's a couple questions. We won't go too crazy.
Okay.
But we're gonna do. Steve, we touched on this earlier. Hopefully you got this. Can color preserver over a decal help keep the edges from possibly lifting from the heat of epoxy curing? Absolutely. As I mentioned before, Steve, really, really thin layers. Do 2-3 coats. Make sure it's really, really dry, and then run with it. You'll be great. Chandler's got a question about clarifying. Can you coat cork grips with Pro Coat or another thread finish? Absolutely. Hunter showed us the ice rod, and this is the CFX. This is a rear grip, right? I think.
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah. So they've got one that's like what, 3 1/4 or 3 1/2 inch. So Chandler, we put thread finish over the top of this, as Hunter had mentioned before. Then you put a decal. Then you put some more finish. You can do this over cork, You can do it over wood. You can do it over carbon fiber. There was a question earlier, and I don't have it, but somebody asked about EVA, if you can do EVA. The problem with EVA is it's not a hard enough base. So if you're casting, the pressure from your hand, or if you break a fish off and you squeeze that rod like you're mad, you could actually compress the EVA, which will dimple that finish, which will then have the EVA pull away from the finish underneath, create a bubble. It'd be kind of a mess. So honestly, if you're gonna do something, try to do it and put finish over it. Use cork or wood or carbon fiber or something that has a hard base and a core, because otherwise it's just you won't be happy with the result. Promise you. So cool.
All right.
What else?
Well, let's kick off the last portion of the show here.
Okay.
Let's do a little decal showcase, right? So we showed the majority of our designer decals, I believe is what we refer to them as. So let's show the red metallic again because it is very sharp.
And I think the guys in the show put how many colors and options and all that. And of course, they're putting links in there. So if y'all have questions on like, oh, do you have a blue or do you have a chrome or do you have we've got it on there. The guys in the war room, of course, are putting those links in there. So,
and it looks probably a little flat on. I'm trying to get the metallic to kind of pop a little bit, but the color. Yeah,
that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
These decals, the metallic colors in person it's night and day compared to what it looks like on screen. So, and especially if you get out in the sun, I mean, the metallic blue, the metallic red, the mirror chrome, I mean, they really, really pop in the sun. But so designer decals, right? We also have, we touched on this a little bit, our college decals.
Yeah.
I see an Ohio State one. I'm not going to pick that one.
No way. I think I put my Ole Miss Rebels down here. Oh, you got the national champions.
Yeah, I got the Roll Tide here. The Bama.
Ole Miss, SEC coming to you. That's it.
Got a little Louisville in there. I don't like.
And of course,
either, but
we represented your alma mater. There's a lot of UCF Knights here in the building, and of course, you saw in the video.
We got
Marky Mark downstairs. He was showing off the UCF decal, and
see if I can get this without.
Yeah, let's try to get in there without knocking a.
Okay, there we go.
There
so
you go.
I got the UCF decal right there.
Perfect.
At a good angle there, Phil.
That's it.
Yeah, perfect. We got for the Knight fans out there. We got the UCF college decal. All right.
Love it.
Yeah.
And that's a great point that a lot of the decals are not small dots and small squares and different things like that. So when you have a really cool decorative wrap, a lot of times you block it in with solid wraps, and it's like, that's a great place to put, one of the college decals, the state flags. We got state flags, they're not long decals. And of course, I will give a shout out to Mrs. Adams because I built her a fly rod and she wanted a decal on it. So that spot on her right above the grip is a great spot to put like a monogram.
Gotcha.
So we put a monogram there, small little circle dot logo, boom, done. Put it over some, thread wraps, and it was great. Cool. So that's a little bit thinking outside the box for y'all, for the decal people out there. We try to give y'all some ideas.
Yeah.
So
we also have let's actually pull this one out because I'm going to show. Oh,
yep. No, come on.
Okay. So we got I'm going to assume this is a mahi rod because guess what?
Got a dolphin on it.
We got a dolphin right there on it. I'll keep that still for just a second if you want to get a zoom on it.
Did you say it's a class rod? Oh, very cool.
Perfect.
So this was during one of our offshore class builds, right? So we've got a quick plug to all the instructors, and Todd's the head instructor. We've got classes, mudhole.com/classes. I believe that's what it is. And what you can do is now it's not just a 6.6 medium spinning rod. You now have classes where you can build that mahi rod. You can build a fly rod. You can build a surf rod. And we've got those classes listed on there. They'll put the link in the comments, but that is mudhole.com/classes. And you could come right here to Mudhole.
Yeah, we got one next weekend, I think.
Next weekend? All right, cool. You come right here, go downstairs in the education center, and then you can also shop till you drop while you're here.
Absolutely.
So, cool.
So yeah, we have the game fish decals. You can get anywhere from a bluegill to a blue marlin to a dolphin. We got you covered there. We also have, I see you got a few under your iPad there.
Yeah, we got some redfishies.
Some redfish decals.
Solid gold and the outline ones.
Yeah. So a couple different options there. I think the outline ones are pretty cool.
Yeah, Dominic had the one fish that was outline because he wanted to be sure that he showed, you know, the abalone and the thread work, and he didn't want to cover it up with a solid decal.
There you go.
So that's an option there. You can run a solid one or you can run an outline.
Yeah.
So
a couple different options.
Yep.
Super
now,
cool.
the unique thing, I wanted to touch on that Mahi decal real quick.
Sure.
Because this will cover another type of decal we have. This decal is a die-cut vinyl decal, like you would typically see on the back glass of your car. So this already has a transfer tape over the top of it. You do not have to necessarily use masking tape or any kind of tape on here if you don't want to. It helps a little bit because if you do put the Scotch tape across the top, it gives you a little, those handles I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a handle out here and you got a handle out here. But you can just peel the transfer off.
Top layer.
Yep. Of course, trying to get that. So you can see it come right there. Right? And then in a sense, you've just got your own little Scotch tape that's already affixed to the front of that fish decal. And then you just take that one right to the rod blank. And again, sometimes what I will do is I will pinch the top, kind of flex that down a little bit. Whoop, sorry there, Uncle Phil. Flex that down a little bit so that when we come down here and go to this rod blank, now you can see just the center line of that decal is touching, right? And then that will help us work top to bottom, or from the center line out, work it down, and to be sure that your air bubbles don't get in there. And then, of course, your transfer is not very sticky at all, but it's just sticky enough. So there you go with your dolphin. So that, for the decal show and tell, that's another style of decal that you might find here. So
yeah, and it's funny, you know, the curvature of the blank actually helps you in a sense to get this stuck only on that center axis, you know, center line.
Yeah.
You know, if you were to try to, you know, if you guys have put like a screen protector on your phone, it's a flat surface. So once you go to stick it down, it's almost, it's a little bit harder. Blanks are somewhat easier because you have that curvature to help, you know, kind of just barely tack it down, and then you can squeegee from your middle out to the edges.
That's a great point for sure. Cool.
Cool.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a rapid fire Q&A. So because we've got this cool feature here, I can touch it. We can go to the screen as you've seen so far tonight. Hopefully y'all like it. I'll like it. It allows y'all to see who's talking and what's going on. But we've got a little bit of graphic coming back. You might have seen this in the past, maybe like 20, 25 episodes ago. Hofma really wanted to come back. So it's time for rapid fire Q&A.
There it is.
There you go. All right. So we're going to go here. I'm going to say, though, real quick, Dwight, shout out to the customer service team and technicians recently helped out with an issue. Great team, great service. George downstairs, I know he's in the war room watching tonight. He's the leader of that team. They do a great job downstairs. So really, really shout out goes out to the customer service guys. All right. How about this? Would you use cork sealer first before putting a thread sealer over the cork? Hunter?
Not necessarily. I mean, you know, cork sealer is not a required or must thing to do. It will preserve your cork for longer and keep it cleaner and all the dirt and grime out.
Yep.
Not a necessity, though.
Absolutely. Me? No. So what you need to do is you don't want anything that's going to keep the epoxy from adhering and getting into the cork. We put the cork sealer on it to protect grime and nastiness from sticking to the cork. So we don't want to, go against the finish sticking to the cork. So Hunter and I are going to agree on that one. How about this? We got Steve. Will a sticker stick better if we put a thin coat of finish on the blank first? Hunter.
I've never tested that personally, but I have heard a lot of people that do prefer that way. Again, it's take it or leave it. You can do either way. I personally do not, but I know a lot of people do.
Sounds good. For me, I have done it both ways. I don't have one that I really prefer over another one, but I will say, be careful with the type of blank you're putting this decal over. If you're putting the decal over an unsanded blank and it has a little bit of texture to it, it'll be just like trying to put it over dragon scale or cork or something like that. You won't have as good of an adhesion, but you can still do it over a completely slick blank. And if you got a little bit thicker vinyl, it'll help hide those edges just a little bit better. All right, Amanda, here you go. What's the most decals you've put on one rod? 78 decals, okay?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
So we did a snook rod, and we were using our fish decals with heat shrink over the top. We had a huge surplus of snook decals at one time, and we joked at how expensive that would be if we actually had a customer buy 78 decals. It was a fortune for a handle section, but we've still got it. It looks cool because it raised the snook pattern over the handle. We put heat shrink. So Amanda, 78 decals, and I'm not kidding. We got photos of it somewhere. Here we go, David. Can you put a decal on whatever as long as it's covered with epoxy?
I wouldn't say whatever, not everything.
But yeah, I mean, we have actually put stickers on people's cups and staplers and different things like that. If it's, a fairly solid surface and whatnot, yeah, and it's clean, you can put the decal down and put some epoxy over it. You'll be all right.
As long as it's a smooth surface, yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
For sure. Bill, do you have an Atlantic salmon decal? I don't know if we have an Atlantic salmon decal, but I know we've got a salmon decal. So we might have to, you might have to use one of those like solid color outline of the salmon decals. Let's see here. Robert, what's the best way to keep metallic thread from flying off the spool by itself? When you pull that metallic thread out, there is a little keeper in here, right? So there is a tiny little keeper. Take the thread, pull it out of the little rim keeper there. I pull out what I need, okay? What I'm using my thumb here, and I stretch this just a little bit. It'll take the memory out of it, let it kind of spin. It won't be so unruly. Sorry if you can't really see that, but pull it off the spool, stretch it a little bit, let it unspin, and then go right back into the keeper like that, and you're good to go, okay? That's how we do it.
Cool.
Yeah, Hunter, great, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. David, do you or do you not leave the plastic on the decal? I think we kind of covered that. It's really, the decal either has the transfer tape over the top of it, or the decal is all kind of its one piece. So that's kind of going on there. Let's see. How about this one? It's cold in Minnesota, building ice rods. Can you get decals small enough to put on a noodle rod? Mike, we have text decals that you can get in a small enough font to probably stick it on there. What you have to be careful of, though, is some of these vinyl decals that are thicker they can't like wrap the blank as well. So they do, like, the edges want to kind of peel. But if you've got text that's small enough and you can cut it thin enough, it'll stick to that ice blank. It will 100% as long as it's, stuck. All right. Here you go, Mr. E. Mullet minute, rod highlights, awesome. I agree. And cool. It's not just about the hair. It's about the highlights. So
there's more than just the hair.
There's more to that man than just the hair. Not much, but it's good. No, it's fantastic. All right. Chris Moses, where's the best place to put the decal, above or below the grip? What do you think? Where do you go there?
I personally put most of my decals in the split grip area.
Okay.
Then that goes for spec decal, that goes for graphic decal, and will put spec decal on top, and then do a 180, and then put the other decal on the bottom.
Yeah, so you're not wasting space.
Exactly.
I'm with you. I tend to put, if I have a split grip, I tend to put spec and or brand decals like the MHX brand spec decal, kind of sandwich that in. If I'm going to put a decal above the grip, I'm going to put a fish decal. I'm going to put, you know, a name decal. I'm going to put something like that. So I'm with you. Most of the time, the spec decals for me are going to go in the split grip. And we don't have one with a raw reel on here. I know we had a flipping stick in here. Anyway, for the spec decals, for you bass fishermen, okay, if you've got a split grip, put the specs on the opposite side of the reel. Because what we do, speaking of the devil, all right, we got a flipping rod because we were doing a little flipping contest in here. So here we go. This is the FP936. If you flip heavy cover for bass and you don't have an FP936, shame on you. So we got the Daiwa Tatula here on top. We got the MHX sticker here on top. Now, what's going to happen is when you put that rod in your rod box, the reel's going to hang, right? So the reel's hanging. What decal's on the underside? So you look down in that rod box. There you go, MHX FP936. You already know what you got because the reel tends to hold the rod down, the specs up, and you're not going to have to dig through that too bad. So there you go, Chris. That's what's going on there. Let's see. Yeah. David, is it worth getting the epoxy mixer?
Yes, absolutely.
And we're just going to leave it at that. It's great.
And I think if you check the clearance section, we still have some at half off right now.
Yeah.
They're still 50% off.
Perfect.
So they're like $17.50.
Sounds good. Oh, this is a good one. Eric, does Sharpie or marker need color preserver protection? Need color protection, okay? Or is it just okay to put finish over it? I have seen it go 50-50, all right? I have used testers with like a fountain pen, you know, so you take the tester's model paint, you unscrew the thing, and you put the little fountain pen in it. And of course, like, you know, my mom said that I was going to be a doctor because of how bad my handwriting is. No offense to the doctors out there, but I'm not a doctor. And here we are still with bad handwriting. So she lied to me. And she can cook a mean hot pocket though. So when you go to put the ink on there, you better let it dry and let it dry good. I have still had it run a little bit. And maybe I was too quick to put that hot finish over the top of that, but I really should have put, really should have put some color preserver over the top of, you know, whether you're using a Sharpie or a paint pen or that tester's ink or whatever. I mean, what do you feel about that?
I would definitely maybe put just a little bit of color preserver. And I mean, just a little bit, you know,
yeah.
Maybe do it twice.
Yeah, we're talking thin coats here, like super thin coats.
Yeah,
so
just as a little bit of added protection.
Cool. All right. I think that's good enough. Is that good enough for rapid fire? Perfect. Yeah, because we're kind of like approaching an hour. Well, an hour and 4 minutes. So sorry, guys, 4 minutes over.
I do want to add one thing real quick.
Okay.
And I don't know if a comment was in there or not, but if you guys have done any research on decals, you've probably heard there's a peel and stick variety, which is basically everything that we've talked about tonight.
Yep, I know where you're going.
And there are also water slide decals.
I know where you're going. Yep.
Which I would say water slide decals are not as common. They're not a very common thing that we sell, at least, right? Almost all of ours are peel and stick. Water slide is a whole different animal than what we've described here tonight. So if you ever come across those, make sure that you not apply the same technique because it will not work. But any peel and stick decal will be exactly the same that we did tonight.
Correct. All right, cool. So yeah, hour and 5 minutes, not too bad. Hopefully everybody has liked the new format so far. Hopefully you've got some good information that you can attack your next decal project. Don't worry, we're not forgetting about the giveaway 3. So Jay, let's go ahead and queue up giveaway 3, which is a CRB Color Series rod kit and a thread kit and a custom decal. Hunter got a new credit card for 2022, so we're getting it going. So Let's do that. Let's queue up the giveaway vibe. We got 417 people in there right now. Let's talk about it. Here we go.
Here we go. Who's it going to be? Oh.
Mike Foster. Cool. We had
Okay.
another YouTuber tonight. Wonderful, wonderful. Mike Foster is the giveaway number 3. That's the Color Series rod kit and thread kit and custom decal. So very cool. Awesome. So the Mud Hole Live Rod Builders Workshop. All right. We've got that photo contest. All right. It's unique. We're going to run a quick clip on it. But remember, we're talking about found objects, okay? I don't care if you put a Barbie doll head as a fighting butt. Get wild with it. Do something cool. Jay's got a clip here. Let's roll that real quick before we get out of here. All right, so cool photo contest.
Yep.
You got all the way till March 15th. Going to win some gift cards. Going on Hunter credit card, of course. Now remember, hashtag build the number 2 and then win. You've got a hashtag in your post because that's how we're going to find it.
Right.
Okay? So we can go through, post them in the group there because that allows everybody to see them, comment, say, hey, Dave, great job. That's wonderful. So it's one of those deals that you got to do hashtag build to win. All right? You're using found objects. Does still need to be on an MHX or a CRB rod blank, but I think it's going to be cool because found objects, like, surprise us. Do something wild. And, speaking of that Mud Hole Live Rod Builders Workshop, I think Chandler put it the best. Chandler Butler said, why does it seem like everybody on this page is so nice, not normal for pages nowadays? I think that right there sums up the entire Mud Hole Live Rod Builders Workshop. You ought to be a part of it because it is cool. Everybody is helpful. Everybody, they will give you honest advice, but nobody's going to, call you a name in there. And there's, over 17,000 or so people in there. So there's a ton of rod builders. It is the biggest and the best group on Facebook. And I think everybody takes pride in that. So Chandler, man, you're exactly right. Everybody is so nice.
Yeah.
So awesome. Cool. Well, hopefully everybody liked the format. We do know the next show and the next date. That is going to be February 22nd. And we're going to be doing balanced builds.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a couple additions, a couple components that will help you balance out your rod build. There's a misconception sometimes that adding, extra weight to the butt section, doesn't really help you much. But
they go, oh no, I want a light rod.
In certain cases, flipping sticks,
yep.
Maybe heavy freshwater rods, musky rods, that kind of thing. Adding a little bit of weight in the butt section of your rod, whether it be a fighting butt or we're going to show a couple other things.
A few little tricks.
Yeah, to actually balance out that rod and make it more comfortable to fish throughout the day. So
absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. Get out of the penthouse. We got to go downstairs. I hope that Jake didn't lock himself in the basement. We're going to have a little bit of, maybe some pizza.
Yeah.
Reconvene. And we will see everybody back here in the penthouse on February 22nd for balanced builds. We had a pretty big team in here tonight. We had George and Stuart. We had Steve and Taylor, Birdman was in the war room. They were putting it together there. So again, shout out to the people downstairs, George's team. We appreciate them. They help y'all. So it was good to see them get a shout out. Guys, we'll see you next time. We had Uncle Phil on the Zoom. He did great. Even chased us around a little bit. Jay on the 1s and 2s. Hunter, my left-hand man, as always. I'm Chris Adams. Guys, we will see y'all February 22nd.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.